A warm welcome to all of you on the Red Voice YouTube channel. It is my pleasure today to introduce to you an exceptional guest. She studied for her master's degree in Banaras, India. Then she moved to China for her Ph.D. studies and completed her doctorate in Slovenia. She is an ethnomusicologist. In addition to being a practical musician, primarily violinist and a singer, and she is also a national representative of Sri Lanka in the International Council for Traditional Music, which is the world's main ethnomusicological association. She is teaching at the University of Kelaniya in Sri Lanka, and her name is Lasanthi Manaranjanie Kalinga Dona.
Naganna susudu adare languna vasanta kale jeevaye adare.
Welcome, Dr. Lasanthi. Could you please provide us with some information about your musical beginnings? Where and how did you develop this love for music, for violin playing, for singing, and so on? And also, how did you develop your interest in ethnomusicology?
My musical upbringing came in my family, thanks to my father. He was a mathematics teacher, but he had a love for music and as a singer and also as an instrumentalist. He was all the time singing, playing with us, and we were very small kids, but it was really somehow it was like a game. Sometimes he sings and then we reacted to his musical idioms. So as very small kids, I didn't know any word, I didn't know anything, but my mama and papa both says that you were just going behind the father all the time, singing and humming some things. Even they didn't know. So it was like that my my musical foundation. And then in the school I had to stop singing and then started to play violin. And it was actually because of my mother, because my mom was not very happy that my love for music, my love for singing, because she thought that I would really stop my any school education, but I would become a singer. So for that she was unhappy. She was also a teacher. Then she said that no, you shouldn't sing all the time, but study well. Whenever you need to sing, you can be a singer in any stage of your life. There's no any border for this. So in a sense, I'm very happy that my mom stopped me in one point and then pushed me to learn really systematically music. So I started violin. So I first my guru was at Japalavatta Mahavidyalaya, Mr. P.A. Victor. He was my first guru. He was the person who taught me how to start fingering and bowing and all these basic things. And then Shantaramani Dias, the second guru who was training me as a singer. And then Mr. Lionel Lienavatta. And later I became a disciple of great violinist in Sri Lanka, B. Victor Pereira. You know about him, and he was really a great violinist. Thanks to him, I became really enthusiastic about playing violin with emotions, full of emotions. And actually at my high school level, before I met the great maestro, I won the gold medal in the Old Island High School competition. So when I came to be Victor Pereira Guru, I was already in a certain level according to him. Actually for me, I was a beginner, but somehow I could follow him very well. And then when I entered to the university, that means to the Kelaniya University, I was already a SLBC auditioned violinist. So all my gurus, my parents, I am really grateful for all of them for making me my musical background as it is. Yeah. And if I turn to your second part of the question, so it is kind of how to say, it is a little bit difficult for me to answer, because at my university stage I never heard the word ethnomusicology. At the university, in the degree called Fine Arts, I was studying music, dance, drama, photography, film, and various practical subjects, and also theory courses. But never ethnomusicology. At that time, I think too early, or I don't know, nobody knew about this. But later on, I came to know that the Skulatilaka and his, the pioneer ethnomusicologist, and his work named as ethnomusicology. So later actually I came to know about that, but the word I first heard at Shanghai Conservatory of Music when I got a scholarship for my Ph.D. to read for my Ph.D. in China. So I met one of the greatest or leading ethnomusicologists in China, Professor Xiao Mei. Thanks to her courses and her reading lists, I started to inform myself what is ethnomusicology, what is the scope of it, and later on I became really enthusiastic about the subject, and I tried to broaden my scope about ethnomusicology. So this is how I came to today's stage.
How did your experiences abroad, like in India, in China, in Slovenia, and all these activities in music that you had, like giving concerts, workshops, let's say ethnomusicological guest lectures, your teaching, and so on, how all these things influenced your musical thinking?
Wow, it's a really good question. My international experience actually started after I moved from Sri Lanka. So it was, the first step was in India at Banaras Hindu University after I entered to the Master of Music course degree. So there I met Professor Dr. V. Balaji. So in his musical charisma was completely different to what I expected in Sri Lanka. was a much open person, and combining in his playing, we could easily recognize not only North Indian classical techniques, but he combined it with Carnatic techniques, and also sometimes Western violin techniques. So, and also he was teaching us to play all these things. So it was really another musical world, completely different from my education in Sri Lanka. So thanks to him, I started to become a concert artist. Enjoying music, and he always taught us how to bring our emotions to the audience, and how to bring them to certain stage with our music, with our emotions. So it was really helpful for me. I was able to do completely different things from Sri Lanka and what I learned from India, and now the third chapter in my life, in a sense, because it was not music making, but it is completely to somehow change my shape and everything to become a researcher. So it was really very challenging, but somehow I took this challenge. I didn't want to give this effort useless, because it was a scholarship. And then I don't know, from somewhere I got this opportunity. I had a German professor who was coming to Shanghai Conservatory of Music. That was Professor Dr. Wolfgang Masnack. He was teaching music education and psychology there. So I went to his lectures, and in his lectures he always mentioned about music therapy. So I was, wow, how come? This was my dream, to learn music therapy. So this was the first stage that I met somebody who could really tell me what is music therapy, and what is the combination between ethnomusicology and music therapy. So this was the first step that I got into my real dream, and saying or determining that I would really learn these subjects. So this is how music therapy came to my life. And yeah.
Dr. Lasanthi, can you describe your musical activities in Slovenia? How different were they, and also the acceptance on behalf of the audience compared to your native Sri Lanka?
Wow, it's a really good question. Actually, I don't know how to put into words this experience. It is completely different from Sri Lanka, from India, and then next step was China, and now I was in completely another environment in Europe. So it was in the first place very, very difficult for me to place myself, in a sense, but it was really a big step forward to my life. So actually, in the midst of my studies in China, I got this opportunity to transfer my studies to Slovenia because at the same time, while studying, I could offer my knowledge, musical knowledge and understanding with Slovenian students. So when I saw this opportunity, I immediately grabbed it, though it was very, very hard to accept because, as I said, it was really difficult because culturally it is completely another scope to experience. Weather, culture, people, food, I don't know, everything. So, but I'm extremely grateful to this opportunity. So there I was studying on one hand and also teaching in another hand. It was very, very hard for me in the beginning, but somehow I got used to it, and it was really enjoyable for my life when I look back. And then I exposed myself outside of the teaching or learning scope after my PhD. I became kind of a self-sufficiently or stable person as a scholar, in a sense. I was very, very small scale, but anyway, but I saw that people were receiving me very well, since maybe because of my, skin color and my music, Indian music, and my way of dressing and everything was different for them, but their reaction was very, very positive. When I started to teach about South Asian musics, so it was very good opportunity for me to bring Sri Lankan music and also Indian music to the European audience, to the students. So they were very happy to get first-hand experience from me. And then I could play, I could sing, and so also I must say that this was the first time I could put myself as a concert artist or a singer, because yes, I was singing, I was giving concerts in Sri Lanka, recording some songs for some CDs. Yes, I did, but I never came to the stage as a singer. But this opportunity came thanks to my move to Slovenia. So the audience, and that means general public and students, were very positive. So I started to give concerts, and later I thought that I need real accompaniment. So I formed a Slovenian band with 4 Slovenian classically trained musicians. So the ensemble called Lasanthi. So we made our CD in 2 versions. One is with English and also with Slovene, and then enlarge, in a sense, or expand my musical career as a singer, participating in various festivals, world leading festivals, and traveling to other countries, for example to Austria. I gave several concerts in Vienna with the group, and then in festival in France, in Bosnia, in Croatia, and Russia, and many places. Actually, I forgot to tell you something which is very important, because when I formed my ensemble Lasanthi, I started to bring Sri Lankan songs, Sri Lankan music to the European audience. This was my first goal. And then slowly, after they embraced me through music, I thought that I should keep a step forward. Why? Especially when I gave some charity concerts at elderly homes. So I felt that these elderly people didn't feel much closer when I use English. So, and also the songs were in Sinhalese. So I thought that, wow, I should do something. Then I tried to translate these songs, selected songs, into Slovene. I sang this song. I'm sure you all know about this song. Malhina naganna susudu adare languna vasanta kale jeevaye. Malhina naganna susudu adare languna vasanta kale jeevaye. Adare Ljubesen nas mehi sokotrošice, življenje novo pomlad prineslo je. Ljubesen. Pojem, pojem pesmico, ploskam, ploskam ritmično. Pojem, pojem pesmico, ploskam, ploskam ritmično. La 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 la. And the beautiful thing was for me as an artist, as a singer, as a violinist, but whom is working with emotions. Actually, I saw really emotions through these elderly people's eyes. When I sang in Slovene, it was so easy for them to come closer to me. Earlier, there was a kind of a barrier for them to understand me, but this was the bridge to bring Slovenian audience to my musical charisma, in a sense. And in several occasions, in several concerts, many of my friends and elderly people came to me with tears, saying that, wow, it was really beautiful. So then I thought, I should do something more, because I'm getting many opportunities from Slovenia. What should I do for them? So this was the first step, that translating songs into Slovene. The next step, I thought that I could learn Slovenian songs, Slovenian folk songs, to come to the concerts as a local person. So I tried. So it was really positive, and many of the members of the Folk Slovenia Society, it was a local ethnomusicological society, Folk Slovenia. I became a member of the society, and then I came to the stage while singing Slovenian folk songs. Prišla bo pomlad, čakal bi jo rad, da bi zdrav vesel, sladko vince pil. To me veseli, travca zeleni, drobna ptičica po poleti. Prišla je kukavca, moja ljubica, na veco svecla se, glasno kukala. Kukala, kuku, pela je tako da bevet nonam tak lust noblo. Kukala kuku, kukala kuku, da bevet nonam tak lust noblo. My background also in Sri Lanka. I studied many folk songs in my school years. But I must go back again to my father. Actually, he taught me several folk songs. He was the person who brought this taste to my musical life. So I must sing one folk song which I learned from him, just to pay respect to him. He would be very happy to see this. Badagini vela ma giya kala putuge geta manala mitak dunna mallakata gando no gando kiyala situni mata manalada pute kiri dunne mang numbata it was the real love in a sense, which I started from my childhood. And then when I exposed to Slovenian folk songs, I was really happy and wanted to learn more and more. And then I got various experts help or support to sharpen my pronunciations. So not only that, I then slowly expand my musical scope, learning Croatian folk songs, Bosnian folk songs, Macedonian folk songs, Slovakian, Russian, Ukrainian, and many more. So this was the real love for one hand from my side and also from the audience to bring come closer to me and for me to go closer to them. So yeah, this is what I wanted to say.
Can you tell us something about your research topics as an ethnomusicologist? How much do they differ from maybe what other ethnomusicologists in Sri Lanka are doing? How to put your research into the Sri Lankan context in that sense? And I have a special other question. Kjell Skjulstad, this very important Norwegian colleague, how he influenced actually your work in our discipline?
Good. Actually here I should really talk about Professor Dr. Swanibo Pettan. Thanks to him and whom I met in Slovenia, I could really broaden my scope of musical understanding and to see much more serious way to look into the culture, not music as a product but as a process. So I got opportunities, many opportunities to listen to his lectures, and so through that also I got to know many world-leading ethnomusicologists. And also I exposed myself listening to their lectures, participating in various workshops, and basically, yes, thanks to Professor Petran, actually, I got so many research interests.
In to je najbolj popularna viža nasploh na Tajskem. Pa da poskusimo, no?
Kot gostujoči profesor in vabljeni predavatelj na več kot 100 univerzah in inštitutih po vsem svetu je na svojstven način vtisnil pečat etnomusikologiji.
It was a pleasure to watch several concerts, also with some leading Indian artists in Slovenia, in which Lasanthi performed like together. It was great to share the experiences in teaching, particularly the course on music and culture of South Asia. It was great to have the shared experiences also as conference presenters. Also, we co-wrote several articles, and I think it was really some kind of experience that made our lives richer, and I think we learned together how to be better scholars, better pedagogues.
So after my PhD, and also through these ethnomusicological readings, I was able to learn about new discipline called medical ethnomusicology, how music and rituals, or how therapeutic means of ritual practices to explore ritual musics and their therapeutic aspects. So this was my first love and my research interest, because it was basically my PhD, one part of the research study, and also as the second part I did in my PhD under Professor Wolfgang Masnak and Professor Leon Stefania in Slovenia. It was the second case study was applying Indian classical music with high blood pressure patients. So thanks to Professor Wolfgang, I got a chance to work with Austrian Heart Association, and this is how I apply Indian classical music with high blood pressure patients, and the results was positive, and after that I could expose myself in both music therapy and medical ethnomusicology. This was my first research interest, and then I got to read lots of literature about indigenous music and dance. So this was kind of wow. I never thought of my own indigenous people in my country, I thought. So this is the key point, that I should expose myself more and more. I should read more and more. I should meet scholars, and then I got a real a bunch of scholars to discuss and to listen to their lectures, and also to participate various international conferences. Thanks to that, I thought that this is what I should do in my country. So this also the second interest, music and minorities, came to my life, and also then about Baila Cafrinha, and this is Portuguese influenced genre in Sri Lanka. So this is how the second interest came. And then also I was working in while I was working in Slovenia, I got an invitation to be advisory board member at the State Musical Review of Children and Youngsters with Special Needs.
Let's go to education. You had experiences in Sri Lanka as well as in Slovenia, while with active teaching, with research, even with administration, and not to mention the outreach. So how would you describe the similarities, commonalities, differences between these two systems? I find them very different. And if you would like to change something here, what would it be?
Out of many scholars who are working on Sri Lankan topics, I would emphasize one person, one very important person historically to establish ethnomusicology in Sri Lanka was Professor Shel Skilstad, who worked with Professor Kulatilaka, Sida Kulatilaka at today University of Visual and Performing Arts. So this is the first institute or first university that introduced ethnomusicology in Sri Lanka to Sri Lankan audience. But I could say that it was comparable with other European ethnomusicological scene, because what Sida Kulatilaka did, that collecting folk songs, Sri Lankan folk songs. So like Hungarian Sultan Kodai and France Marolt and Smaga Kuma, these are various European scholars. They also did in the beginning actually collecting national songs, in that sense folk songs. So what Kulatilaka did was the same, but he was the pioneer, most important figure, and got the support by Professor Shel Skilstad from Norway. He gave various equipments and resources to establish ethnomusicology in Sri Lanka. So I'm on behalf of all the scholars in Sri Lankan scholars, I am so grateful to Professor Shel and Sida Kulatilaka.
While visiting Sri Lanka several times by now, I realized that there are major differences in educational systems of the two countries, like how you evaluate, for example, the knowledge and understanding of the students. And I'm curious about your view, because you had also experience in Slovenia, in Sri Lanka, also at several universities. So how do you see this difference? And if you would, based on your experience now, which is very international, try to change something, what would that be?
When we talk about the administrative work, I think it is lots of administrative work for an academic. In Slovenia, we are fully occupied as an academic or as a researcher and as a teacher, nothing else. But here we have lots of paperwork, like it's kind of a clerical half job. It is hard to mention that because there are many things to talk, but maybe the audience may not know these things, so I won't go into details. But now we have also a master's study, it was program Master of Arts in Music. So I had the opportunity to accept as the new coordinator of the new program. So it was now 1 month old. Young baby in a sense. So there are lots of work again related to that. But I must say that somehow we have to adjust ourselves to balance all these things. Otherwise, it's a failure. In the first place, I was very much disturbed with all this other work, but somehow now, slowly, I am entering to, I am how to say, training myself to accept all these things, what to do.
You are now for several years a national representative of Sri Lanka in the leading international association of ethnomusicologists and ethnochoreologists, which is the International Council for Traditional Music. The idea of these national representatives, we call it the World Network, is to create a bridge actually between this main ethnomusicological organization and scholars in different countries. So how would you describe how it works in Sri Lankan case? What ICTM means for the scholarship and scholars in Sri Lanka, and how these scholars represent themselves and their country in such an organization?
ICTM, this is the International Council for Traditional Music and Dance actually. So this is the world leading ethnomusicological circle to bring world experts in music and dance to one platform, to share, learn and bring their experiences. So I was the first person who came to this ICTM World Network from Sri Lanka in 2007. Actually, my first international conference was in Vienna. It was the 39th World Conference, and this was the first time I exposed myself to the world ethnomusicological circle. So there were more than 1,000 scholars there. I was really amazed to see these things, and then I thought, oh my God, who I am to be here. That I thought like I'm the smallest person in these world circles. Through comparing to my learning experiences, research experiences and everything. But later on I started to learn a lot from the ICTM, and later on I traveled all around the world, in a sense more than 40 countries, in America, in Asia, in several countries, and Russia and many parts of the world, and expose myself to various contexts of the ICTM's organizational bodies. So one important body is study groups. So normally due to various due to research expertise or research interests, people get together. Maybe it is on Makam music or South Asian music or musical instruments, like that, various study fields. So in 2019 we had a wonderful, successful study group meeting at University of Visual and Performing Arts, and it was study group of South Asian musics, and somehow while seeing all these world gatherings, I also thought that one day I should bring these experiences to my institute, that means the University of Kelaniya. So in this year I am organizing music and minority study group in Kelaniya. So I take this opportunity to invite all the music scholars and students and researchers to get together and to give hand to our scholars and to learn from these world leading researchers. So this is the both way of learning and sharing with world experts. This is the platform of ICTM.
Warmest thanks, Dr. Lasanthi Manaranjanie Kalingadona, And equally, many thanks to the Red Voice team for making this program possible. I would like to take this opportunity also to invite all of our listeners, all of you who are with us today, to come to the University of Kelaniya in December 2023, when we will have a wonderful international symposium of the ICTM study group on music and minorities. So, hope to see you there. Thanks again, and all very best wishes.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me, the Red Voice team. This is my first YouTube interview, and it is really something completely new as an ethnomusicologist also, I must say, as also a musician. This is good that I had this opportunity. Thank you so much for inviting me, and see you again. Thank you.
I think just a